If you want your kid to be successful, high expectations, high support. And so that means you set high expectations for them, but you also follow through with like, hey, I set this high expectation for you because I believe that you can get there. I believe that you can do that. And so set that high expectation for them, and then have so much support that they have so much belief in them that they have no choice but to have some of that belief transfer to them as well.
Yeah, straight A student, but I'm friends with the cool kids. Following the rules and the rubric. Freestyle on the bus.
And so we want to get all the reps in, get the iterations in, figure out what works, figure out what our flow is, figure out if people want to hear what we were just talking about, what we can't talk about, and we'll just leave this. Maybe we'll leave this part in so people don't know what we were just talking about. Leave a little like mystery.
Yeah, leave some mystery in the air.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. You guys can't
fan
know
of
what
that.
we were just talking about because you guys would all hate us. Actually, half of you would hate us. Half of you would. The other half would also hate us based off of what we said. So everybody would just hate us.
Probably,
Okay.
yeah.
All
right.
Let's get to some questions.
All right, let's jump in. Our volleyball team has a ton of games and 2 tournaments this month before playoffs. My hitting shoulder is starting to feel pinchy and weak. Besides just icing, what can I do for this hitter's shoulder to manage the pain and keep my arm strong?
Volleyball is a very unique sport, and I don't think we've talked about this yet on previous episodes, but we might have. But volleyball is a very unique sport because it has the demands of an overhead athlete, of a baseball player, and of a basketball player. But it also, from an arm care standpoint, has like uniquely excessive demands because whenever you are a baseball player or a softball player and you get in those maximal effort swings, like you're really rotating your arm as fast as you can, as violently as you can, as powerfully as you can, you're able to use your lower body to help decelerate and be able to control some of that eccentric force, some of that deceleration stuff. But whenever you're a volleyball player, you are in the air whenever you have to decelerate your arm. So you can't rely on your lower half or your core to aid in some of that deceleration. All of that eccentric stress then goes to that rotator cuff. So your rotator cuff has to do a significantly more amount of work than we really give it credit for. Volleyball players should be absolutely dialed in on their arm care. So when it comes to arm care, I like to focus on the external rotators of the rotator cuff, the serratus anterior, and the low trap. If we crush those 3 things, and you can get a 4th one, which would be like rhythmic stabilization type stuff, then you should be in good shape. And so I'll give you an example of what each one of those could be. So for external rotators, we're looking at maybe a band uppercut where you have a band. It's really easy to do basically anywhere. You can tie it on the volleyball poles before you practice. You just tie up a band, and then you keep your elbow bent to 90 degrees. Keep your hand in front of your elbow and your elbow in front of your shoulder as you go up into an uppercut position. You don't want to let your elbow come out this way. You don't want to let your hand rotate into internal rotation like this. And so you're here. You just have the band tied up over here going up and down. I just realized I stepped away from the microphone. That's bad podcasting right there. The visual demonstrations probably should be done right next to the microphone. But so that's going to get your external rotators of your rotator cuff. And so you could do that. You could do 0 degree band external rotations where you have your hand underneath your elbow to get a little bit of separation to slight abduction. And then you rotate out that way with the band. You could do 90-90s as a progression to make it a little bit more specific to the overhead position. Any of those three are going to any of those three are going to target the external rotators of the rotator cuff. So then you have serratus anterior. So serratus is responsible for protraction and upward rotation of the scapula. It's really, really important for making sure that you have clearance at that shoulder joint, because if your scapula does not upwardly rotate sufficiently, you're going to have impingement type issues, which you said you have a pinchy shoulder feeling. So that could be something that we're working through there. So you need to target serratus anterior. We do wall slides in a variety of different ways. So you can do them with a physio ball, you can do them with a foam roller, you can do them with a towel, but you just get up into a wall, you have your elbows at 90 degrees. You press into the wall as hard as you can. So you're moving forward with your shoulder blades. That's protraction. Then you go up as high as you can into upward rotation, keeping yourself protracted. Come back down and then go back into retraction. So bring your shoulder blades back. In, up, down, back. That'll take care of serratus. And then low trap. My favorite thing for low trap that's low hanging fruit, easy to do, is prone wise. So lay on the side of a table or couch and have a lightweight, probably 2 pounds to start, and just bring your arm up into a Y position, then all the way back down. If you do those 3, you should see a significant difference. Do those 3 to 5 times per week. I also really do like throwing in some rhythmic stabilization work for those who have the time and are extra dedicated. So just have somebody help you out, put your arm up overhead, and then somebody just beats your arm up kind of in that small area. They push you forward, back, side to side. So that way you have to work on the timing element from a rotator cuff standpoint as well. So to recap all that, arm care should have rotator cuff, external rotation work, serratus anterior work, low trap, rhythmic stabilization. Do those 3 to 5 times per week, 2 to 3 sets each time that you do them. Probably just do them before every practicing game that you have.
Getting war flashbacks every time we talk about arm care and shoulder care. Just a lot of that was done. But hey, I mean, it works, so that's why.
There you go.
So I had a quick question that came up from your answer there. I feel like a lot of the times we see questions or we see athletes who come in and they kind of have like these nicks and scratches, and they don't always know like when to push through versus when to play, when not to play. What's kind of the line there for you that can kind of help that decision of I'm going to push through this, or this is something that I need to actually rest and sit out for?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this last episode. It's very contextual, and so the younger you are, the more aggressive I'm going to be to say like, "Hey, just relax for right now. Like it's not worth it. There's not high stakes at play." And so I'm going to be more conservative the younger an athlete is. The older an athlete is, we're going to look at contextual factors like how important is what's coming up right now. We look at risk reward situations. I take a look to see basically if something is going to progressively get worse with continued stress. So the example I think we talked a little bit about last time was low back pain, muscular-based low back pain versus bony low back pain in adolescence. And so if we have concerns of bone stress injury in an extension rotation athlete, then we have to be cautious and we have to be conservative and really shut them down aggressively, because bone stress injuries turn into spondies, which turn into spondylolisthesis, which can be significantly limiting for a lifetime. Versus muscular-based low back pain, it stinks, it doesn't feel good, but you're not going to have lifelong debilitating low back pain if you push through some muscular-based low back pain. So things along those lines. Are we looking at something that's structural, something that's going to progressively worsen, or is this something that, hey, you know what, it hurts, and I think that you think that what you have coming up is important, that's okay to push through, and then we can recover afterwards.
Got it. All right, I think we hit everything with that question there. Going to roll into our next one. My son is a freshman who isn't a starter on the football team. He works hard, but gets really discouraged by his lack of playing time. How can I help him focus on being a great teammate from the sideline and to use his role in practice to actually improve?
He's young. He's got a lot of his career left. This is a beautiful learning opportunity for what the rest of his life is going to be like. In any new situation, you're going to start as the low man on the totem pole. A lot of people, in fact, most people, especially when they get older in life, they just quit. They don't like being the low man on the totem pole. Nobody likes being the low man on the totem pole. And they lack the vision to see what the rest of this story, this journey could look like. So I would try to find as many examples as I possibly can of people who are in a similar situation to him and show them what they did. The pinnacle example of being a great teammate to me is Jalen Hurts in the national championship game whenever he got benched. It was beautiful. Jalen Hurts was clearly one of the best players in college football for a long period of time. I believe he won a national championship the year before, or at least played in a national championship the year before. I could be wrong. This is before John's time now. He's shaking his head.
Yeah,
Let
it's
me
above
look
my
this
pay grade
up.
there.
Okay, so in 2016, 2017, he led them to back-to-back national championship appearances. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
2018, he's been the guy for a very long period of time. And then 2018, he leads them to the national championship again. He's a fantastic quarterback. He's having a fantastic season. But they're not going to win that game at halftime. They just don't have the momentum. They don't have things going. And so they make a decision to put Tua Tagovailoa in. And Tua is a young quarterback, but he's sparky. He's come off the bench a couple times earlier in the year, just in some scrappy playing time situations, and he's had sparks. And so they put him in there, and he leads them to a comeback, and they win the national championship. Every other person I've ever met in my entire life, at best, would have just stood there and just maybe clapped a little bit and been like, okay, but they wouldn't have been ecstatic. Jalen Hurts was coaching up to he was ecstatic. He was as involved as a human being possibly could be in that national championship game after he got benched. And how'd that play out for him? So he didn't win the starting job the next year, but he ended up going to Oklahoma. He ended up winning didn't he win did he win a Heisman Trophy?
I don't think so.
Come on with your football.
I was also
here.
14 at the time, so.
Okay. That's not that young. That should be peak ball knowledge for you. Okay,
basketball.
so I need to
ask me anything about the Sixers.
Okay.
2019 Heisman.
He won it. He was second, right?
I don't know. I looked up Jalen Hurts Heisman.
Yeah, so Jalen Hurts was the runner-up for the 2019 Heisman, okay? So he went to Oklahoma after getting benched at Alabama, went to Oklahoma, was the runner-up to Joe Burrow in Heisman Trophy voting, and then he went on to be a backup in the NFL, and he did everything in his power to just control his situation and just do his best as his role as a backup, and now he's winning Super Bowls. Like, he was the ultimate teammate. He put his team first. He didn't say, poor me. He didn't get angry at the coaches. And he had every right to be. Like, he was the best player in the country in some people's eyes. He was one of the best players in the country. And then he got benched in the middle of a national championship after leading them there 3 years in a row. And then he goes on to win, or to be a Heisman runner-up. And then he goes on to be a backup for a little bit and just does the same exact thing. He's a great teammate. And then he gets his opportunity. He does well. He becomes a Super Bowl champion. And so I would preach as many stories like that as I possibly could to your son to try to help him understand what being a great teammate looks like and what that can help produce later on. As from the using his role in practice to actually improve, like, there is no way to get better at football than just getting reps in and get by actually playing football. Like, that's the best way to get better at anything, is to get reps, get iteration. If you want to be a better strength and conditioning coach, you need to write a lot of programs, train a lot of athletes. You need a lot of iterations. You have reps at practice. You have reps probably against the best players on the team. Be a scout team hero. Go out there and challenge your ones every single day, even if they get mad at you. Like, give them a great look. Make sure that they're bringing their A game, and you're going to get better in the process. So it's a phenomenal learning opportunity. But the best thing that I think that you could do is just organically present him with situations and scenarios and stories that are similar to his, and then help him organically make those connections himself. Because I'm a young parent, but I've got 2 kids. I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And I've learned pretty quickly that mom and dad know nothing at all whatsoever. Everybody else is a genius. My 3-year-old will listen to anything any of my coaching assistants say. She treats it like gospel, but if dad says anything, he's a moron. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So I think you're fighting a little bit of that battle being a parent, which is why you have to have them help make the connections themselves.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, this parent here says that their son is working hard. That's kind of the that's kind of the end of the story there. They're working hard, it'll come. It's just kind of getting through that process that can sometimes be a little hard, but put in the
Yep.
work, put in the effort, good things happen.
That's life, though. Have to understand that, you cannot control all the variables. You can only control the process. And so sometimes things you're going to work really hard and things aren't going to work out in your favor, but that's not always the case. If you work really hard, you increase your chance of success. And so hopefully he can draw those connections and use this as an opportunity to learn what he could do later on in life as well.
Yeah. I remember, well, once you grow up a little bit, you do realize that your parents do know a thing or two, and they're not idiots, and what they say actually does really have good effects in your life. I remember talking to my dad about a school project because I'm a washed up athlete. I can't really relate to some of these things, but I can relate to the nerd side of stuff. And I was putting in my work, but I wasn't really happy with the product that I was getting from my team. I wasn't really happy with the situation that I was in during this project. He said, "You're only promised the work. You're not always promised the fruit of that work. So if you go in there, you do the work, you do your time, the fruit will come. It's just not always that guarantee, but you're guaranteed the opportunity to work. And sometimes that's all you need." So
There you go. I like it. I
there's
like
my
that saying.
advice.
I'm gonna steal that. That's mine now.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
good
keeping
one.
it from your dad. So
I'm a big fan of
sorry.
that one.
Sorry, Dave. I'm gonna use that. I'm probably not gonna credit you all the time, but sometimes I'll credit you. I like that though.
All right. How do you, oh, GT performance voice crack that I get every time in the facility.
Say what your chest, young man.
How do you break through an athlete's self made barrier of holding themselves back?
Beautiful. Okay. So if you want an entire book on this, I think a framework that would be very helpful is just Atomic Habits. So James Clear, the entire habit building process is stacking little wins on little wins, and then all of a sudden you've changed your entire life. So that is what my strategy would be. I would start with little wins. Start finding a way for them to find out what they're capable of incrementally. So give them a little challenge, let them win that challenge. Give them a little more challenge, let them see that they can win that challenge. Give them a little more challenge and let them see that they can win that challenge as well. And eventually they'll realize they're capable of far more than they ever realized, but it has to come incrementally. The human brain has a really hard time grasping things that are far in the future or things that we cannot tangibly see or things that are outside of our normal experience. We have a hard time filling those gaps in and seeing what the possibilities are. So I would really, really, really emphasize little wins. And so whatever it is, whatever that self-made barrier is, I would find a way that is in line something. I'd find something that's in line with that barrier and just challenge them to try just a little bit more than they've done previously, and then just continue that process over and over and over again, and eventually they'll get to where they're actually capable of getting to. Um, but it's all about the little wins and stacking little wins on top of each other over a prolonged period of time. Do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think for me, something that's really helped me in just kind of breaking down those barriers that are holding me back in life and in athletics is committing to the fact that when I make a promise to anyone else, I do everything I can to keep that promise, and to shifting that mindset to when I make a promise to myself, I'm going to keep that promise with the same amount of intensity that I would if it's a promise to you or a promise to my friends. Just taking these things that I say that I'm going to do and taking that same intensity into that problem and into that promise that I've made to myself has been a really helpful thing in just my life development and kind of more than an athletic standpoint.
I like that. I like that. And that's something that, I mean, you could even if it's somebody who we're coaching, so this is probably either a parent or a coach, and if they're working with the athlete, they can figure out like what makes them tick. What are they actually driven by? And so sometimes it's going to be things like that. They're going to be a socially driven individual who like really does not like to let somebody down. And so you can play on that. You can be like, hey, you told me you would do this, or like, I believe in you. Don't let me down. It's just, don't like make it too much of a high pressure environment, but hold them to high expectations. We have kind of this issue in society today where, we are either high expectations and low support or low expectations and high support. So high expectations and low support is like the prototypical tiger mom or the coach who's just hard on everybody all of the time and just never gives any praise, never gives any feedback. So you have really high expectations, but if you have low support, then it's going to be very demoralizing over a prolonged period of time. Versus the other side of which is probably more prevalent in today's society is low expectations and high support. And so there's a lot of coddling that goes on. We're too afraid of hurting somebody's feelings. We're too afraid of somebody being forced with a situation that they're not quite ready for. And the drawback that comes from them failing, or I don't know, it could be even as severe as we're afraid of litigation or afraid of somebody getting mad at us or whatever it may be. And so we end up with, hey, you know what? That's good enough. That's good enough. You did good enough. And then you give them a ton of support. You'll support them the whole way, but you have very low expectations. Kids thrive, and this is something that in the book 10 to 25, which is written by a child psychologist, David Yeager. It's a phenomenal book, The Science of Motivating Young People. That's basically his entire premise is high expectations, high support. If you want your kid to be successful, high expectations, high support. And so that means you set high expectations for them, but you also follow through with like, hey, I set this high expectation for you because I believe that you can get there. I believe that you can do that. And so set that high expectation for them, and then have so much support that they have so much belief in them that they have no choice but to have some of that belief transfer to them as well. And so, but yeah, getting to know your athlete, the athletes you're dealing with, like what is actually driving them. Going back, we talk a lot about this AI school, the Alpha School. Right now, they use extrinsic motivation as a way for athletes to start realizing what they're actually. I'm sorry, for students to start realizing what they're actually capable of. And so they will actually pay students to pass certain tests. And so if there's these Texas standardized tests that for every Texas standardized test that they get 100% on, they will give them $100. So that means like an 8th grade kid can go take a 3rd grade standardized test and get $100 because it's a way for them to backfill some of their gaps in learning that they may have missed. Maybe they aren't as efficient at their multiplication tables or whatever it may be. And they can do that for all of the different tests. And so $100 for 3rd grade, $100 for the 4th grade test, $100 for the 5th grade test, 6th grade test, 7th grade test, 8th grade test. And then, all of a sudden they're taking, they're getting 100% on their standardized exams whenever they thought that was never possible because they have the motivation of like, hey, like if I do this, then like I can make some money. So why don't I just try it? And so some athletes are more extrinsically motivated. So maybe they need something along those lines. I'm not telling you to go pay your kid $100 to do something all the time, but you can find ways to work around that. Maybe they're more socially motivated, like you talked about, whatever it may be. Find out what makes them tick and then use that to your advantage in that situation.
Yeah. And I think one more note on going back to the James Clear kind of idea of stacking these wins. Something that I do in life that I find is really, really helpful is I keep a list of those wins. So there's one, like I have 3 lists. It's an academic list and like a mental emotional list, and then like a physical list, like athletic list. And the way that I break it down is these are things that I've done that have been very, very difficult, but I succeeded and I got through them. So for academics, I got into a good school that I absolutely love. That was a hard thing to do, but every single time that I'm faced with a hard academic challenge, I can reach back into that cookie jar that I have, reach back into that list and be like, wow, like, all right, I've already done something pretty hard in this realm. Why can't I do it again? Or everyone else in my engineering class got a 30 on this exam. I got a 50. I'm doing pretty
Yeah.
well. Yeah, right? Those percentages are really fun. Hey, it's better than everyone else.
Exactly. That's
But
what I was saying.
yeah, you just look back, you find those little wins, and you kind of keep that list, and you just remind yourself that, all right, I've done this before. Why can't I do it again? And I think that that's something that's really helpful.
I love that. Fire me up, John. Fire
Let's
me
go.
up. Take that, Ben Tropeano. Comment on this stuff, talking about how John's not providing enough value. Look at that. Do you see his Instagram
No,
comment? No.
I actually didn't. I missed that.
Oh, he
I'm gonna
commented
have
on
to
the
go.
he commented on a post saying like, I was like, "Wow, John, great input, really helpful." Because it's just a clip where I was talking about low back pain. Like, guys, John's an undergrad here. His role is to ask questions, provide input on stuff like this. He's not allowed to give athletic development, like physical pain rehab
I'm missing a
responses
couple
here.
years of school for that.
Yeah.
But if you need to learn about mass transfer,
Can
seem
you
to be
actually
your
help with
guy
that
in
yet,
this
though?
realm.
Can you actually
Nope.
help with that yet, though? Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. We're getting there, though.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
First exam
All right.
happened. Didn't really help my case with being able to teach it, but we'll get there.
I will put a disclaimer out there. We just had a power outage here at GT, and so we had to take a little pause. So if it doesn't make any sense, we don't remember where we finished up. We don't know when it cut out. We don't know what we were talking about. So if it was a complete clear break here, I apologize.
All right. We're going to jump into our last question of the day. My 10-year-old son is a good basketball player, but he's just not aggressive. He's hesitant when to drive to the hoop or fight for a loose ball. Are there drills or a training mindset we can work on to help build that confidence and assertiveness on the court?
A lot of psychological components to this episode.
Yeah.
I think one of the best ways to build confidence, and this is probably my bias, but I see it time and time again, is to get more physically developed in the weight room. Now, obviously, your son's 10, so we don't need him lifting crazy heavy weights, but he is old enough if he's fired up and he wants to start doing some athlete development stuff, start doing some organized strength training in some way. And I think that really helps whenever you see your weight room numbers start to go up because it's such an objective place. It's like, I was doing this and now I'm doing this. I am, by definition, now better than I was previously. That confidence then carries over pretty smoothly to the court. So that is one of the biggest things that I would do uh, in order to start building some of that confidence and start building some of that aggressiveness. Because the more physically developed you are, and the more you know you are physically developed, the more likely you are to be more aggressive on the court because you know you can hang with them, you know what you're capable of. But this also goes back to the last question that we just had. I would really try to show as many examples as possible. Try to instill belief in them by showing them examples of people who are similar to them. Um, I think that like if your son has any aspirations of playing in the highest levels of basketball, which many 10-year-olds do at that point in time, I would show him examples. I mean, I'm just gonna like most likely your son's probably not somebody who's going to be 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". Maybe they are. Maybe you're a tall individual who's asking this question, but most likely your kid's not going to be that just based off of probability. And so you have to look at examples of people who have made it to that level and what they've done to get there. Look at your TJ McConnells of the world. He's the epitome of getting there by being scrappy. And so he has to be absurdly aggressive. He has to be absurdly confident. He was known whenever I was younger. I remember going to watch him at Char Valley whenever I was in middle school and he was in high school. He was known as being an elite 3-point shooter. He could shoot lights out. He was an offensive weapon. Then he got to college and became known as a distributor, a facilitator. And then he got to the NBA, and now he's known as being scrappy. He's known as being the guy who will hustle, the guy who will play great defense, who's obviously can still put the ball in the basket, but he had to redefine himself and he had to find out what his role was, and he had to learn how to be scrappy and how to be aggressive. And so I would point to examples like that, like, hey, like if you truly want to pursue this at the highest level possible, which even if it's statistically almost impossible for your kid to get there, you can still use that as a motivating force to say, like, this is what you would have to do in order to get there. And those skills translate to other aspects in life. But yeah, so I would point to the TJ McConnells, the Dellavedovas of the world, and I'll throw this over to John, see if he can name out some more people because he's talking about his NBA basketball knowledge a little bit ago. But yeah, that would be the things I would really go with. Get him physically developed so that way he knows what he's capable of. He can see some objective growth. He can see some objective improvement. And then show him examples of what it would take to play at the highest level possible if he's interested in pursuing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're thinking of scrap and thinking of kind of doing the dirty work, There are a few better examples than Villanova great Josh Hart. Obviously, Josh Hart is very, very physically gifted, but that is not what makes him great. What makes him great is kind of that idea of I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get my team the win. He jokes all the time about how other Villanova great, Jalen Brunson, crazy that there's more than one Villanova great, I know, just has to go and score the ball while Josh has to do all the hard stuff of getting rebounds and playing defense. But it's that stuff that has kept him in the league, has made him a multi-million-dollar man. And at the end of the day, if your son is 10 years old, just keep it fun. And I think the aggressiveness and kind of that desire to get on every single loose ball and to drive to the hoop and score every time will come. If they're having fun, then they're going to want to be better at what they're having fun at. And aggression is something that makes you a better basketball player. So I think over time that will develop, and it's not something you have to really, really stress to your 10-year-old son from day one.
I'm going to call you out here, John. You were talking about how 2019 was just too early because you were too young.
Would you prefer me to talk about Dario Saric, the
No,
glue man
no.
for the 76ers?
No, I'm talking about how you're talking about 2019 was way too early. You're only 14 years old. How are you going to know when Jalen Hurts was doing all this and all that? Jalen Brunson played at Villanova from 2015 to 2018. So you're just being you just didn't have your football knowledge. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm just saying that Jalen Brunson really blossomed in the NBA. I don't know. He also was National Player of the Year, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, you were just talking all about Villanova. This
Jalen Hurts didn't go to Villanova.
Oh, so you only know anything about Villanova?
I don't know. I'm a home court fan.
Name me one football player who's ever played at Villanova University.
Michael. I don't even know his last name. I had a class with him my freshman year. We have a 33-year-old punter though from Australia. I don't know his name either. But we did just have a guy get signed to the Chargers practice squad. No idea what his name is, but there's a reason we're a football or a basketball school, not a football school.
Quick Google search puts Howie Long, Villanova University. Brian Westbrook, Villanova University. Do you know who they are?
Brian Westbrook sounds familiar.
Oh my gosh, sounds familiar. Are you kidding me? You don't know who Howie Long is either?
Howie Long sounds super familiar.
Oh,
defensive end. Oh, I've seen his face. Yeah.
Oh my.
He's 65 years old, Zach.
Yeah, he has 2 kids that play in the NFL though. He's a massive NFL influencer. I mean, I don't know. He's
isn't he like an analyst?
Yeah, and he is like.
See, I know him as an analyst.
Oh.
You know why he's such a good analyst? Because he has that Villanova education and the public speaking skills.
Yep. I'm sure he got into Villanova because of that, not Villanova taught him that.
Didn't Villanova recruit you to be a running back?
Yes, they did. However, the odds of me actually playing running back past, the first 30 minutes of practice were slim to none. I had several schools, actually not too many of them, but Villanova and Kent both told me that I was going to play running back there, and I'm pretty sure that was just a trick they pulled with everybody because they just think everybody wants to play on the offensive side of the ball. I was 5'11", 190-pound white kid who was fast but not crazy fast. Like, they were putting me at safety day one. I look like a safety. I feel like a safety. I'm not.
I should tell you all you need to know about Villanova football. Putting Zach Guiser at running back.
Hey, come on now. Come on now. Villanova was always good. They were a good FCS school.
No, they're a good team. They were runner-up to the FCS National Championship last year.
Then why are you hating?
I'm just saying.
Or was that a compliment? You actually now I'm just taking that as a compliment to me. That's sort of tell you all you need to know about Villanova. Yeah. So I'm just going to take that as a compliment, even though I'm pretty sure it was. Actually, I'm not pretty sure. I know that was meant as an insult. I'm going to take that as a compliment.
That's good. That's mindset. Okay. See, you can spin anything you need. It all comes back to the question.
Okay, but yeah. So I want to wrap it up there for everything in this episode. None of this is medical advice. This is just general question and answers. Seek professional help from a healthcare professional for you or your athlete. We'll plug the newsletter per usual. Go to gtperformancecenter.com/newsletter. Subscribe there for all of the latest information. I give some really detailed, helpful, short snippets that you can apply. It takes you normally less than 5 minutes to read it. So make sure you subscribe there and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts at. And anything else to add, Mr. John?
Oh, I think we got it all.
All right. Until next time, go be great out there.
Yeah, straight A student, but I'm friends with the cool kids. Following the rules and the rubric. Freestyle on the bus and it's too lit.